Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. I'm a little late to the party. I recorded this back in November 2014, and it is making this video July 2015. And I'm making it now because I finally had the time to actually dig through some of my archives and start making some tech videos for Active Tech Review. Now, previously I was using the Note 3 for a little while, and I switched over to the Note 4 because I had an upgrade and I wanted to go ahead and use it. I wanted to be able to take advantage of the higher definition screen. I think it's like a quad HD screen, along with a faster processor and a bunch of other little perks. I use a Note 3 for probably about almost 2 months, about 6 weeks. And I have to say, one of the main things or main differences that you can actually notice immediately between the two Note 3 and Note 4 is simply the design. There's one thing that's kind of a big difference when it comes to design is really the ability to hold the large phone in your hand. Because the Note 3 has smoother corners and smoother sides, it can make it a little bit harder for one-handed use. Now, I'm 5'8". I guess I'm a bigger human being, about 200 pounds. And my hands are quite, I won't say they're small, I guess they're average. And I'm able to manipulate it with one hand pretty well. Some things are a little bit difficult, but I've figured out ways to kind of mess with the keyboard to make it work for me. And one of the things that help a lot the most when it comes to the Note 4 versus the Note 3 is the sharper edges. The sharper edges make that much a difference when it comes to holding it, especially for one-handed use. Another thing too that I did like about the Note 4 versus the Note 3 is simply the quality of the screen. Much sharper text. The one thing I didn't like was some of the options and the stuff that you're used to in a Note 3 are different than a Note 4, like the option buttons and whatnot, and that gets quite annoying. One thing I did like about the Note 3 is that you can hold down the home button and you can multitask, whereas on the Note 4 you actually have to press the multitask button, and it being an Android phone, although it's a great phone, has a bit of a lag, especially when you compare it to an iPhone, because previously I was using an iPhone or iOS device for quite some time. 4 reasons why you should buy a Note 4 versus an iPhone 6 Plus. Number 1, Android allows applications to talk to settings. I use a Sony RX100 Mark III to transfer photos via Wi-Fi. The Sony application can connect to Wi-Fi without you having to manually go to settings and connect to the phone. Essentially, apps are allowed to talk and do things with one another, whereas iOS, you have to manually go into settings and then connect to the phone. So there's essentially a way, it's kind of a barrier of separation between applications and the main settings on iOS versus Android. Number 2, functions very much like a desktop. If you're a PC user like me or just kind of more tech savvy, there's a file system that's similar to PC or even Mac. You can add files, delete files, you can download to specific directories. On iOS, you can't do that. You usually have to download files within a specific app. And let's say you have a specific file that you want to use in a certain application. It's not going to always be easy to transfer from one app to another. You'll basically have to have duplicate files in each application depending on what you're using it for. Number 3, expandable memory with a micro SD card slot. It already has a built-in 32 gigabyte memory, but you can add up to an additional 128 gigabytes. Number 4, it's cheaper, more value for your dollar. You get more memory with the option to upgrade, and you can't do that with the iPhone. So those are my top 4 reasons of why you should get a Note 4 versus a iPhone 6 Plus. If anything, the cost is actually a really big factor because iPhone 6 Plus is definitely a lot more expensive. And if you have the extra money and you really love iPhone, then that would be the way to go. But in case you are kind of on the fence, definitely getting the Note 4 would definitely be something that you would want to try. I'm going to be honest with you, I really do miss my iPhone. There are a lot of things I do like about the iPhone better than the Note or the Android system. The iPhone is much faster, it's much zippier, the camera's faster. I want to say that the quality is probably about the same. I think maybe the Android phone pictures are better, but it's not as quick. The operating system is much more smooth on iOS when you compare it to the Android system, especially with TouchWiz on the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. This is the active segment, and why not get an opinion from someone that works out, does powerlifting, Olympic lifting, running, exercise. I'm a personal trainer, and using this as a trainer, as a coach, using it as a timer, using it to take notes on, is perfectly fine. When it comes to running though, I'll have to say that it will be very difficult unless you're comfortable with holding it in your hand. I can't imagine holding this in your pocket too often keeping in your pocket with a wired headphones, you would need some wireless headphones. There'll be a link in the description if you're interested in that review I made of the Q7Ys, the inexpensive Bluetooth headphones. For the most part, it's something you'll get used to. You know, I was always afraid that this large of a phone would be difficult or a pain in the butt, but it actually turned out to be totally okay. You know, I've had this phone for about almost a year now, I think 9 months, and it works totally great. I love it. I still have an iPhone 5 that I use occasionally for other things, and I find that it's just too small of a phone. Although it's more comfortable in the hand and smaller, the problem is that the screen is so much smaller, and I have to say that the size is definitely worth the difference. So if you like the video, please click like. If you dislike the video, thumbs down. Leave a comment below if you have a question, and I'll see you guys on the next video.